He knocked me over. I landed on the dog bowl.
This one's wife, is she backed by dark forces? Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. This one's wife was an unheard of actress that appeared in a little watched cable show called Suits. She had had some bit parts in other bits of television and film. She'd done a bit of modelling. That was about it. She's now one of the most famous women on the planet. Wealthy, although that might not last, and she's regularly reported on in mainstream media and across social media. I have seen a variety of suggestions that this one's wife has some powerful hidden backers that have somehow harnessed her as a corps célèbre, or that she's being puppeted with the purported outcome of, well, destroying the royal family, or clamping down on freedom of speech, or enabling people to control the narrative of information on the internet, or that she's somehow a poster girl for the Democrats sweeping them to presidential victory. You may well be aware of these various suggestions that have been made that somehow this unknown Californian woman who had drifted around and was carving out a reasonably successful career for herself, that had lived in Toronto, had created a blog, suddenly became catapulted into international prominence, being plastered across so many newspapers and magazines. Is this the work of her backers? And if so, who are they? Is it the Obamas? Is it the Clintons? Could it be Oprah? Is it perhaps an unidentified shady consortium of wealthy anti-monarchists, or an elite cabal of woke worshippers? When did they become involved? Is it the case that they were the ones that were responsible for her suddenly being a woman that wasn't able to afford a Sizzler salad when she was a child, but then was able to wander around as Chairman Mao visits New York, wearing expensive clothing and jewellery, flying in private jets and making speeches to send glass eyes to sleep? Well, let's consider that. Is it the case that she had wealthy, powerful backers that took this comparatively ordinary-looking woman of no particular talent and decided, let's put her in the royal family? We know that she was an actress, and we know that with the Suits run coming to an end for her, that her options, therefore, with regard to acting, had become somewhat limited. She was looking around for an alternative. Remember, subconsciously, her narcissism is driving her to control people to get fuel from them, but also those all-important residual benefits of money and facade management. Aware that the Suits money would only last so long, she was propelled to look in an alternative direction, not necessarily looking for work, but somehow to increase her profile, to become better known, with the view of getting a rich Brit. She'd wormed her way into a degree of society in Toronto. She engaged with Piers Morgan as part of this plan to ingratiate herself within particular society within Britain. She enlisted help. This was explained, if I remember correctly, by Tom Barr in Revenge, where she needed to become better known in the United Kingdom and therefore hired people to improve her profile, to get her interviews, to get her connections with well-known people within the United Kingdom. There was a suggestion of her dating Ashley Cole, a footballer, but he wasn't interested. And then she met Harry. And shortly thereafter, she met him again. And no doubt after blowing him, he thought, "Oh, yeah, this is great." And away their romance went as she ensnared him. With all of that detail, which I've generally abridged and summarised there, that doesn't appear to me to be the involvement of some shady consortium or an elite cabal that somehow engineered that she would meet Prince Harry and then ensure that he fell in love with her and they would end up getting married. But rather, this seems to me to be propelled by her narcissism, which recognised the threat to control posed by her run at Suits coming to an end, and saw that it was necessary to utilise once again, as she had done before, Trevor Engelson, Corey the chef, her father, and others, that a man would be the answer to the potential problems that she was facing, and that her narcissism utilised the lashings of Spicy Poontang to cause her to then bring Harry under control. That it wasn't some consortium of backers, some unseen hand giving her a great push forward. No, it was simply her narcissism and its utilisation of assistance by way of publicists and connections, etc., that caused her to enter the orbit of Prince Harry. Okay, so if it wasn't these dark forces that enabled her to meet up with the Prince of Pink Pancakes and cause their union to come about, then perhaps those powerful backers came into play as part of persuading her to leave the royal family and then set up on this unknown agenda, although hinted at in terms of either destroying the royal family or utilising her as a poster girl for the Democrats, etc. Perhaps that's when it came about. Well, might it be the case that once she was in the royal family, Agent This One's wife was activated by these backers, by this consortium, by these dark forces, and thereafter she has embarked upon her stated mission? Well, if she really does have those dark forces, and they activated her, if you will, or stepped in to assist her at that juncture, I think they'll be wanting a refund, won't they? After all, the royal family is still standing. The monarchy hasn't gone anywhere. Indeed, it's arguably more popular than it was before. By contrast, This One's wife's popularity has plummeted. It's absolutely tanked in the United Kingdom and the United States. The A-list has turned its back on her. She's ridiculed by them. Remember them talking about how she would send messages desperate to try and hang out, and everybody laughed about that? Her political ambitions have gone nowhere. Newsom was blocking her calls. What about marching on Washington with Gloria Steinem? Has she even bothered with Gloria Steinem as of late? There was the suggestion that she be a shoo-in with regard to a particular seat once the very old senator had passed away. Nope, that went to somebody else. There's not been any further suggestion of her being involved politically. So those political ambitions have gone nowhere. Thus, if she is a poster girl, they're going to have to get weaving. In fact, if there's anybody that's a poster girl for the Democrats, it's likely to be Taylor Swift. On the contrary, also, Trump's popularity continues to rise, and he's more likely to be the next president. She hasn't got any deals, no partnerships, no sponsorship. Spotify jettisoned her. Netflix are likely to do the same. She's been ridiculed by South Park, Family Guy. She's regularly the butt of criticisms on mainstream media. And she is regularly lambasted on social media. She's consistently disliked and mocked by the public. The Obamas have run away and ensured that they're completely distant from her. Oprah doesn't bother with her anymore. The move to WME hasn't achieved anything other than make her look ridiculous as she attempted to take a microphone at the Kevin Costner event and cause her to be signed up with little-known outfit Lemonada. She bought a load of awards, constructed a ridiculous supposed car chase around New York. So if she does have some dark forces backing her, they're not very good, are they? And either they want a refund or she'll say, could I get some better dark forces to guide my march upwards? This all actually points to the fact that there isn't anybody backing her. Because if they were, she'd be far more effective, far more popular, and achieving much more than she actually is. Look at the number of reinventions that she's attempted. Look at the things that she's tried to do and has failed at. Fashion icon, got nowhere. Business person, no. What about the Insta? That keeps threatening to come back, hasn't happened. Resurrection of the Tig? Nope. She hasn't become the next Gwyneth Paltrow. Thus, this either suggests that these backers aren't very good, don't have the resource or reach that's suggested, or more likely, that there aren't any. And what you witness is the haphazard nature of this mid-range narcissist as she repeatedly seeks to assert control in the moment, doesn't listen to advisors, creates errors, gaffes and faux pas left, right and centre, resulting in her ridicule. Whilst it's tempting for some people to think that she does have these backers, after all, how is it that such a mundane individual got where she did? The fact is, when you actually analyse how she met up with Prince Harry and how that came to come about, and what's happened since then, you can see that there's nobody issuing a guiding hand in relation to her. Far from it. She's haphazard, crass, positively useless, a somewhat abject loser ultimately, and therefore it's a firm conclusion to suggest that somehow there are dark forces working in tandem with her. The evidence really doesn't bear it out. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.